We hear all this talk about credit scores, how you should improve your score, whether or not you need a good score, but is it actually important to have a good credit score? Let's chat about that today. Hey there, thank you so much for watching today. I'm happy to have you here, and I'm excited to dig into this topic of credit cards today. Is your credit score really important? Is it really important to have a good credit score, to maintain a good credit score, to work to improve your credit score if it's not great? Or is it not worth the time and effort? If you're new to my channel, my name is Kristin and I make videos mostly about personal finance and intentional living. And my mission with this channel is to help you take back control of your finances so you can live a less stressful and more purposeful life. Credit cards can be a huge source of financial stress to so many of us, and they certainly were for myself and my husband up until a couple of years ago when we finally paid off almost $55,000 worth of debt, and a huge chunk of that was credit card debt. Now, personally, I've always had a pretty decent grasp on credit cards and how your credit works, and luckily I've been able to maintain a very high credit score throughout my adult life. But since starting this channel and my business Sense and Purpose, I speak to many people that really struggle with this. They have terrible credit scores. Maybe they've had financial difficulty that put them in bad situations in the past, loss of income where they've had to use credit cards. They're in over their head with credit card debt, and they just don't even understand how the whole thing works or why they need it. Do our credit scores even really matter? If you follow Dave Ramsey, he will absolutely tell you you do not need a credit score. And in fact, he will tell you that all a credit score is a measure of how good you are at using debt. But of course, like so many other things, whether or not your credit score is important really comes down to how you feel about it and your own personal opinions and values. So again, Dave Ramsey teaches you to get out of debt, pay off all of your credit cards, any other debt you have, and then close every single one of those accounts with the goal of eventually having zero credit. That means if you were looking to go purchase a car, purchase a home, or even get a cell phone plan, they're going to need some information from you, including your social security number, and they will pull your credit report. That way they can assess whether or not you would be a good person to loan money to, okay? That's really the whole point, is to allow lenders to assess how risky of a borrower you are. By pulling your credit report, they can see your credit score and all of your credit history, and that gives them a good idea of whether or not they want to give you a loan. Back to Dave Ramsey, he says that eventually when somebody pulls your credit report, it will show up as having no credit if you close all of your accounts and go without using any credit for a certain amount of time. He also likes to tell you that you are still able to get cars, you are still able to get homes, and for instance, he wants you to go purchase a car in cash. So if you're paying cash for anything, you don't need to have your credit run because they're not loaning you any money, right? You're not signing any contracts, you're simply giving them money, they're giving you whatever you're purchasing, and that's it. However, when you're purchasing a home, most people, of course, are going to be needing a mortgage at least of some amount, right? Some people may put a ton of money down and need a much smaller mortgage. Some people may put no money down and need a much bigger mortgage. However, a huge part of whether or not you'll be approved for a mortgage is, of course, your credit score and credit history. But Dave does tell you that there are lenders available that will do a no credit loan. I can tell you from personal experience, working with mortgages years and years ago, that getting a mortgage is almost a miracle in and of itself. My boss at the time made a comment that has always stuck with me, and that is simply when you see how many documents, meetings, signatures, moving parts, approvals, when you see all of the things that actually have to go into getting a mortgage submitted, underwritten, approved, all in time, getting the wire amount sent and everything ready at one time for you to sit there at settlement and purchase your home, it feels like a miracle. So I cannot imagine having to go through all of that plus then trying to do it with a 0 credit score. Is it possible? Yes. There are some companies out there that will do it. So if that is something that's important to you, please understand it is a possibility. So if that's the case, then no, I guess a credit score really wouldn't be very important to you. You don't have to use credit cards. You can use a debit card for pretty much anything you can use a credit card for. You can use cash if you're saving up an emergency fund, if you're saving in sinking funds, and it is technically possible to go through life without a credit score. So if that's something that's important to you, then that's a route that you could take. In my opinion, there are a couple of reasons why it is important to have a good credit score. One of my top values is my time. We are on limited time in our lives. We never know when our time is going to be up. And it is extremely important to me to spend my money on things that buy back my time. I absolutely prioritize anything that makes my life more convenient, that allows me to spend less time on doing things I have to do and offers me more time on doing things I want to do. And of course, things that save me money. And I believe having a good credit score supports all of the above. Here's a couple of reasons why I believe you should prioritize improving your credit score or maintaining your good credit score. Reason number one is simply it saves you money, and not just a little bit of money. Having a good credit score, in fact, having an excellent credit score can save you tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, over your lifetime. And remember, that is because we mentioned earlier that your credit score, your credit history, is something that lenders will use to assess how risky you would be as a borrower. The riskier you appear to a lender, the higher interest rates you're going to have when you borrow money. And conversely, the less risky you appear to a lender, the lower interest rates you're going to receive when you're borrowing money. And of course, when it comes to paying interest, we always want the lowest interest rates as possible, especially when we're talking about things like a mortgage where you'll be paying on it for 10, 15, 30 years. That interest can add up to tens of thousands of dollars over the life of that loan. Even a perceived small difference in interest rates can accumulate to a large amount of savings over time. The second biggest reason that I think it's important for you to have a good credit score is simply that it makes life more convenient. And when we touch back to the earlier conversation about getting a mortgage without a credit score, I mentioned how difficult, how time intensive, and how stressful the process of getting a mortgage can be. So as it is, let alone trying to get one without a credit score or even a bad credit score. Trust me when I tell you, it makes things way more difficult. Now, purchasing a home is already a special, exciting, but incredibly stressful and overwhelming time in your life. And I believe if having a good credit score is going to make that not only cheaper, but such a more convenient process for you, then it's absolutely worth it. Not to mention, you may get your credit pulled for a slew of different reasons. It's possible that a potential employer will want to pull your credit. It's likely you will need your credit pulled to set up new utilities at your place of residence. You may even get your credit pulled to get a new gym membership. And each one of those instances has the ability to make life a lot less convenient for you if you have no credit or bad credit. In next week's video, we're actually going to cover exactly what goes into determining your credit score. We're going to cover the 5 things that impact your credit score, and I'm going to share a tool with you that will help give you tips on why your score may be lacking in each area and how you can improve it. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you will leave me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think having a credit score is important? Why or why not? I love to hear from you. I hope you will click subscribe and make sure you ring the bell. That way you'll be notified next week when the next video comes out. And if you are in a ton of debt and you're feeling overwhelmed and you are not sure where to start, make sure you head down to the description box and click the link to sign up for my free 5-day budgeting course. It's going to walk you through all of the steps and show you how you can take back control of your finances and live a more purposeful life. I appreciate you and I hope you have a great day.
I'm buzzing, let's drink up. Your death look like big fun. Come on, let's get it on. Like that Marvin Gaye song. I'm stunning, you love it. Come on, give me something. I know that you want it. Come